the time wrong. Time wrong, I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. A broken state, shaking the ground beneath, running from everything, seems to be the path I lead. And now I'm beating on the floor, wondering why I feel like a ticking time bomb. Time bomb, always seem to get the time wrong. Time wrong, I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. I took a shot on hoping I never change. I wonder why I'm always broken. Stuck in time just like I'm frozen, frozen. Now I'm slowly thinking, a product of overthinking again. Hold it in and change my breathing. Settle down and stop repeating amends. I feel like a ticking time bomb. Time bomb, always seem to get the time wrong. Time wrong, I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. I feel like a ticking time bomb.
Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Touchline Talk with your boy, LNobbins. In today's installment, we are going to have more of a broad-based stream. The other day, we had a pretty in-depth show where I talked a lot. To be fair, I talk a lot all the time. I'm always yapping, guys. And it was very in-depth, and it was more about me not shouting at you, me talking at you and sort of like illustrating the points. We did, of course, like have a Q&A vibe with the chat, but it was more structured, and it was more trying to put the point across as to what is going on with the build-up, what's the initial problem, what are the potential concerns, what are the potential solutions therein. We had a bit of a thought experiment, we had a bit of a brain dump, we had a bit of a brain storm, if you will, on that. I felt it was a very good stream. I have less of a structure / plan for today, so I do feel this is going to be one of the Touchline Talks where it's more of an overall sort of chit-chat, Q&A sort of vibe. The general working title for and topic for today's show is the idea of where are City at? Have we seen, we've seen a fair bit of football now. We've seen the good, the bad, the ugly from a number of our players. So I just wanted to have sort of like a general chat because there's been lots of debate about it. Lots of people think that City aren't able to compete for the title. I'm one of the people who thinks that we potentially can. But I also want to have that conversation under the backdrop of also having a look at what would be City's main title rivals this season in Arsenal and Liverpool. Where are they at in their cycle and their evolution as well? Because we've seen again, relatively small sample size, but I feel like we've seen enough now to identify every single side's key strengths and core weaknesses. Where do we assess them as well? And where do we assess them within the context of City? That's the general working title, but at the same time, we will always deviate and go off on tangents off this show, as we always do. This isn't like Tuesday where I had a very locked-in topic that I wanted to touch on. I'm pretty open to discussing whatever today, TBH. As you're coming in, please leave a like on the video. It's free, and it helps support your boy. We are getting closer and closer to our next milestone of 33,333 subscribers. So if you leave a like on the video, that will help push this channel to everyone, and we can get to that 33.3 recurring % milestone, which is the next on the LNobbins channel. How are we all doing today? I swear down, I'm sure my mouse never has any power in it. I feel like I'm always charging it, and yet it never has power. It never has power. It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things, guys. I'm not organized. I'm not organized. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. Oh, there we go. Now I can actually scroll up and see the chat and see what's going on. And see what's going on. I missed the early messages because I didn't have my thing hooked up, so let's see what it was. Spartacus says the objectively correct answer is no. Da da da. Spartacus says each side has its shortcomings. The one that wins the Prem will be the one that finds a way to circumvent them faster, will be the winner. You've sort of taken my main argument, Spartacus, so let's get you in this chair. But yeah, I do absolutely agree, mate. Whereas Contrarian Codex says answer is no, but we appreciate the stream regardless. Short answer, yes we do, says Blue Lock. And I think from there I should be able to now catch up with the rest of the chat. Oh no, it's not working again. What's going on? I'll just get the YouTube chat up here, it'll be fine. Because I like to have the chat on like a different thing so I can bring it up, but for some reason it's not working right now. So what if I like minimize it and then maximize it again? Would that work? Would that be a thing? Is that something we can do? Leave a like on the video, guys. It's free. There we go. It's working again. Cool, cool, cool. Good morning to you, Uzi. Big up to you, Rehan. Ike returning will make the scene more complete. It's a good point. And that's a very good point. It's October. Arsenal, the bottle job kings, and poor half-billion team is too far away from City, who is 3 points from first, says B. That's the point. I think they aren't too far at all. This 4-1-4-1 is trash, says CV. We're closer to Liverpool than what people think. We're better than Liverpool at the moment, says Sachin. I think by November we'll be second and beating Liverpool. Thank you, Contrarian. Yes, but I don't view it as a milestone. 33,333. That's the actual milestone that I'm after. That's the one. They do have a balanced team. Definitely, definitely. Liverpool have defensive issues. Isak converts aren't great, says Adrian. Yeah, big up Yazan. Absolutely free Palestine, definitely. We aren't far off in terms of quality. Can Shirky, I think I've seen like someone do this on Twitter. Can Shirky, Marmish, Doku, Foden, Haaland all cook on the same pitch together? I don't think so. I think that it would be very, very tricky to make that achievable. The only way that it would work out of it could work out of possession. It technically could. It technically could work off ball. You'd just have to. Your midfield duo would have to be Foden and Rodri. Now maybe that's something that can happen. Next year when Rodri is back to full fitness and Foden has a whole season of experience being an off-ball 8. But right now, I'm not sure that I want post-ACL recovery Rodri being partnered only by Foden right now. Even though I think Foden could definitely do the job, we have chatted a number of times on this channel that so far this season, Foden has been, outside of our defending players, he's actually been our best. What am I trying to say here? There have been a number of games this season where outside of the defending players, he's been engaged in the most successful defensive actions. So he can clearly do that job. And I think that maybe that is something that we actually could potentially see, him partnering an actual DM, but with Rodri coming back from his ACL, he probably needs a little bit more support. So I guess it could technically work. It could technically work, I suppose. There is no room for Reinders, though, in that team, that's all. Because it's a third, Naveen. It's a third of the way to the target, that's why. That's a good point, Sachin, to be fair. It's a very good point. Yeah. Or 130, depending on, what's going on there, Yeah, 4-4-2. It could technically work off ball, definitely. But maybe not right now. Yeah, I do remember this, Uzi. Yeah, so I think that I can't recall what the exact. I keep quoting this though, or referencing it rather, whenever I kept talking about last season about my thoughts about where Phil should be playing off ball, and I don't think that he said it in those exact terms. I think he said something like Foden can definitely be a holding midfielder or more of a holding option in midfield, something like that. Now, I don't know how much of that was like lost in translation or whatever. It was a fair few years ago, but I think what he meant by that was just he's going to be a player who can become this deeper option, and we are so far actually seeing that this season. Now, that doesn't mean converting him to an outright, pure, yeah, exactly, Uzi, 100%. Doesn't mean converting him to a pure Rodri or a pure Fernandinho, but it might be more sort of like a Pedri sort of vibe where he has had that evolution, and we are sort of seeing that. I say sort of a lot, don't I? And we are seeing that evolution in his game so far this season. So I definitely take the point, Uzi, 100%. Why am I staring into your soul? Because I'm a personable sort of guy. You know what I mean? You get me. I think he said he wants him to play closer to Rodri, and maybe that is the future AP, especially if we brought in Cherki, and if the idea is for Cherki to ultimately eventually become this more central central player in possession. That would definitely accommodate Cherki and Foden really easily into the same team, and that makes a lot of sense. Iron Man, if you don't know what I mean, then it sounds like a skill issue to me. Sort it out. You see what I mean? We're only like, what, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes into the stream, and we've already massively deviated off topic. This is the beauty of an LNobbins stream. We can talk about literally anything we want, and it's all a good time had by all. It's all a good time. Now, out of nowhere, we're talking about Foden and how he can play deep. We haven't even got to Arsenal and Liverpool yet, but we will. Don't worry. We will. It's not good enough, mate. It's not good enough. Foden's an 8. He has great work rate compared to 10s. He looks very good defensively this season compared to all his previous seasons. And this is how many games before this season had Foden played off-ball midfield? I can't think of that many. It happened a few times in his Player of the Year season. We're talking purely off-ball. Happened against West Ham on the last day when we won the title. It happened against Real Madrid at home. It happened against RB Leipzig in a 4-3-3 midfield. And I think that's it. In his Player of the Season year, it may have happened intermittently in and around when we had Fernandinho at the club, but I don't think there were too many where he was a pure midfielder off ball. I don't think there were that many. He was primarily pressing either as a wide player or as a striker in a 4-4-2. Very rarely was he, when City played a 4-4-2, very rarely was he partnering Rodri or partnering Fernandinho. I can't remember that many before his Player of the Year season. I'm sure there definitely would have been some. I can't think of many. It probably would have been single digits if you add all of them up. So the fact that we are seeing in the vast majority of games so far this season, it's off ball, is a positive for what I want and wanted his evolution to be. Now, it's not finalised because clearly, great use of the emote there, Eden. Love that from you. In fact, I'm gonna whip this out. Love that. Knob Snipe Foden, that's the name of that emote. We love that. Maybe the next step, and maybe we'll see this next season, perhaps, is against Napoli, a hard Champions League game. He started at right wing off ball. 10 men happened, irrelevant. Against Arsenal, away, really hard Premier League game. He started at right wing / right midfield / right wing back off ball. So in these more challenging games, you might say, where City are maybe not necessarily the absolute favourites, I don't know how you want to word it, still not quite there yet. So that's maybe the evolution in the... I don't know if trust is the right word, but certainly the idea of what he can be from our manager's POV. Maybe, perhaps when we play Liverpool, it will be a similar vibe. I would like it to just be, right, no, it's just going to be every single game because that's now where you are at. I'm fine to be patient, but that does need to be the ultimate. That does need to be the ultimate sort of vibe. Does need to be the ultimate vibe. I need to stop saying sort of as well. It's very frustrating. I frustrate myself. Why do I keep saying that? I say a lot of stuff. I also say in my view a lot. For me, I say that shit a lot. I need to get rid of these. There's a term for that where you have like something that you repeat over and over. It's not a filler, because a filler would be, you know, maybe it is a filler because I'm saying sort of when you don't need to. Not sure. Maybe it's just bad use of English. Maybe I'm just an idiot, guys. That would be a reasonable conclusion, to be fair. That's Foden. Great question from whoever that was. I can't recall. I apologize. That was a fun little side thing. I'm a fraud. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe this sign is pointing at me all the time. All the time. No, frauds, that's like a catchphrase, to be fair. Is it mannerism, Harriman? Maybe. Do I talk to myself a lot? Yeah. I'm not being funny. Who here doesn't? Well, we'll get into our rivals in a second. For real, though, I'm being very serious here. Does anyone here not talk to themselves? Does anyone here, like, if you're alone in the house, do you just, like, sit there in silence or, like, walk around in silence? Does anyone here properly not just ever talk to themselves? Or am I just, like, I'm a proper weirdo? I always talk to myself. All the time. I don't know if that's a problem, but I always talk to myself. I can't imagine just, like, walking around in like, in a house and it's not hearing anything all day. Well, I guess you could put the TV on or a YouTube video on. I think you've got to talk to yourself, haven't you? Not in a weird way, not in like a schizophrenic way, but you might vocalize thoughts. You might go, this, you know what I mean? This is going to be a lovely meal. Not that he'd say that exactly, but you get what I mean? You might vocalize, what am I going to have tonight? Oh, that's going to be lit. Or that's going to be, I'm really fancy that chicken. Whatever. Surely everyone talks to themselves, right? Surely. Who doesn't hear? And if you don't hear, you're a freak. Yeah, vocalizing thoughts, Essie. That's the one. That's the best way to say it. Vocalizing thoughts. Having hypothetical conversations. It's just fun. Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't? Exactly. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? And if you don't, you're mad. You're mad, you're mad, you're mad. Most people do not have... Wait, what? This has got to be fake. They don't have internal dialogue. I'm always... Okay, I promise we'll get into City, Arsenal, Liverpool in a second. I just need to address this. I'm always having internal dialogue with myself. And before I go to bed, I always, like... If I'm struggling to sleep, I always have, like, little... I always have, like, little stories in my head to help me sleep. It's how weird. Like, I always create little scenarios. It's just, like, fun little things. No? Just me? Okay. Oh, my. Right. Right. Moving on. I might just be a lot of you guys seem to think that as well. I'm very surprised it's the majority, though. That is crazy. I can't imagine there being nothing. That's scary. Just silence. Anyway, Naveen's made a good point. There's not, we need to move on from the psychology. Let's get into the actual football. So yes, the working title of this stream is Are Arsenal and Liverpool out of reach? ? Short answer, no. I really, really don't think so. Despite what was said before the start of the season, and despite what was said in the first few games of the season as well. Now, guys, this is not the same as me saying that City are definitely going to win the title, because that's not a reasonable thing to say. It is entirely reasonable and entirely plausible for the vast majority of people to predict City to finish third. That's not an unreasonable prediction, I don't think. I think if you go beyond third, you're entering the realms of unreasonability. If you want to start throwing names like Chelsea, I think that is going too far the other way. So yeah, we aren't the favourites, and we're probably not even favourites to finish second either. I've no idea what the official betting situation would be, or what the official Opta supercomputer prediction would be. It probably has us as finishing third, I would imagine. I really think that there is, and I keep saying this, the supercomputer does finish a third place, and that's not unreasonable. I do believe that there is a team here that can win the Premier League of the players we currently have right now. I do believe that this squad can win it. What I will say, though, the big asterisk to that is, because we aren't favourites, you're absolutely right, DZ, we aren't favourites by any means. We aren't in charge of our own destiny in the same way that we would have been when we were title favourites. By that I mean, compared to 2, 3, 4 years ago, whatever, based on the players we have right now, we have to rely more so on our opponents slipping up / being a bit stinky compared to normally we can just like play our own game and focus on ourselves and concentrate on ourselves and play our own game and not even necessarily worry about the opponent slipping up and dropping points, because we know that we are that good. We know that we are the best team in the league. We know we are the favourites. It's in our own hands. We have destiny, blah, 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 blah. We're in charge of our own destiny, blah, 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 blah. Now, technically, we still are, but I don't think that we are now of that level because we aren't the favourites. We're not even favourites to finish second, I would say. It wouldn't surprise me if we finished third again this year. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if we finished second. It wouldn't surprise me if we finished first. So we do need a fair bit to go our way. So let's maybe pivot to our opponents and have a chat about what do we need to happen for City to win the title? From the POV of our rivals. We know that City have to be on it. We know that our best players have to be at it. We know that if we're to win the title, we need Rodri to come back, and even if it's halfway through the season and we're hanging in there, we need Rodri to be back to some sort of high standard. Doesn't have to be 100%, but it might have to be 80%, 70% of the time. He doesn't have to be back to 100% of the time, but it might have to be towards 80% of his levels and around 3/4 of availability. We need Rodri. We need Foden as well to be performing at his current levels. In fairness, we obviously know that we need Foden. He's one of our best players. We need him to continue performing as he has been doing since he came back into the team this season. So far, that's looking good. We need Haaland to keep doing what he is doing as well. He needs to keep performing to the current levels he's at, which is arguably his best levels ever. We need Donnarumma to keep saving us in certain moments and turning 1 point into 3 points, or 1 point, or 0 points into 1 point, that sort of thing. We need the supporting cast, if you will, to contribute and come back into the side and fight for and put in performances that mean that they are warranted a starting position. So those might be players like Savio. There might be players like Shirky. There might be players like Marmoush. Players who haven't quite locked down a starting position yet. They will know they will need to up their levels when they return to take back or just take a first team place. And that hopefully goes hand in hand with performances. And we, of course, need Guardiola to figure out the issues that we discussed on Tuesday with the whole build-up problem, which has stemmed from our new goalkeeper. That's on Guardiola to decide as well. So we need Guardiola at his best as well. So City have to be at their best, absolutely. But I don't think that's enough. And I do think that we also need our rivals to falter / stutter a little bit. Now, let's maybe pivot to those clubs now, shall we? If we do have any Liverpool or Arsenal fans in the chat, sincerely, I would love to hear what you think about your team. What do you perceive as the key strengths, weaknesses? I know this is a vast majority City viewership, but if you're watching on the replay, if you're in the stream right now, because I know we do have a few Liverpool and Arsenal fans, then please feel free to join the conversation, because I would like to hear from you. What do you perceive to be the key strengths and weaknesses of your sides? Because you'll hopefully know more than me. But let's have a chat about that now, shall we? So let's start with Liverpool, because I do feel like the more I'm watching Liverpool, the more what's it? The more I'm feeling that I maybe overestimated them. I'm not sure. It's early days. But I didn't think that Slot was going to do what he's doing with Liverpool, RE, the rest defence setup in particular. And the signings in hindsight, with the knowledge that they're playing like this now, I don't really get a lot of the signings. So I don't get Frimpong as the nominal Trent replacement. He was being mooted as a right-back option for City, and I was dead against it for a number of reasons. And the chief reason was that he's not a right-back at the end of the day. He can play at right-back, but he's not a right-back. He's a right-winger, right-wing-back. Sometimes. He's even been a right-forward. Ichigo, I would say that if you did like a poll, certainly based off like the... certainly based off like online City fans, I would say. I think that I'd say the majority of City fans would have wanted Frimpong, to be fair. Now, that's not necessarily wrong to say. I disagree with it, but it's not necessarily a wrong thing to say. But I did think it was an odd thing, because you are right, Essie. He sometimes played as a right winger for Leverkusen. If you watch the Netherlands, he plays as a right winger / right forward for them. It's often someone else playing at right back, whether that's Dumfries or whoever. And even though we saw Frimpong start at right back, and that did surprise me a little bit, that on his first game he was just popped in at right back. I was, oh, okay, fairs. Maybe I'm just horrendously wrong on my Frimpong assessment. Maybe he is just like this excellent right back. And we're getting to the fullback problems with Liverpool. If you look at, maybe this is just because he came back from injury, Szoboszlai has been Liverpool's best right back this season so far. Was it the recent game against Palace? I think it was Palace, where you had Bradley on the pitch starting. I can't recall the game. It might have been Palace. You had Bradley starting. I think he came off at half time, and or maybe it was Chelsea, whoever it was. And then Wirtz came on, I believe. Chelsea, thank you, Ryan, man. Chelsea. And then Wirtz came on, and then they had the option to bring on, Frimpong for Bradley, but instead they just moved Szoboszlai from the midfield to right back, which is not necessarily telling. It's interesting, but maybe there is something in it, and maybe like Slot has sort of very quickly come to a conclusion that Frimpong isn't his best option at right back. He didn't start him. He didn't bring him on either. He moved a midfielder there. Is Szoboszlai going to be the main man there? And is Frimpong actually, maybe in his first season, is he just going to be like a backup to Salah off that right side? Because we know that he has played as a right winger a lot for Netherlands and Leverkusen. Right winger, right forward, right wing back. That sort of vibe. Weird. I was very interested to see how Slot was going to make it work. So far, it hasn't worked out yet. And so far, I do feel quite vindicated in the assessment that Frimpong is not a right back yet. And there's a big reason why in the video where I was suggesting, I think, Singo, I brought up Frimpong and I said the reason why I don't want him is because I don't actually see him as a right back. We shall see. Someone mentioned Kirkes. I don't think the Kirkes signing was like a bad one at all. But he is a very limited player. There's no doubt about that. I was actually having a conversation with Little Tom, aka Tom Little, big up to him. And we were having a conversation about, like, why is relatable, City's build-up is fucked, Liverpool's build-up is fucked. So we were having a conversation about why is Liverpool's build-up not as good as it was last season. And one of the big reasons is because of Kirkes. Now, it's not scapegoating, but Kirkes is so one-footed that, and what's the term here? Telegraphs his actions. I think that's the term I'm after. That he becomes very easy to press. And because of that, there's almost like this black hole of build-up down Liverpool's left as a consequence of it. That's what Tom and I basically concluded. And he showed me like this passing map of Liverpool from this season, like a passing network from this season compared to last. And there ain't nothing going down on that left side. There ain't nothing going on. There's no connectivity between Liverpool's left back and left winger at all, compared to last season where that is a glorious functioning network that's going on there. Absolutely nothing going on this time. And that might be because Kirkez is still adapting. But regardless, the end result right now is that he is that liability. 100%, I agree with that. They probably would have been better off getting Aït-Nouri. And even though I didn't properly scout Kirkez for City, because I was just, I mean, City moved so quickly in the window, there was no time. It's just like, we're signing Aït-Nouri. It's like, oh my God, okay. So I didn't properly scout Kirkez. But from what I did understand of him, he wasn't this... so it's, like, compared to Aït-Nouri, he wasn't... what's the term I'm after? He's not as technically competent / assured as Aït-Nouri. And maybe it's hindsight. Liverpool would have been better off getting Aït-Nouri. They really would have been better off doing that if this is how they opt to approach their first phase of play. And so far he's been a little bit stinky as well. He's been a little bit stinky. And I don't think it's not like he's been like this imperious 1v1 defender either. So I do think fullbacks were always going to be a big weakness for Liverpool this season. But I was thinking more so the spacing behind. And we saw that against Bournemouth in the first game of the season. I think I tweeted it saying that space is always going to be in behind Liverpool. And that's where you can get at them if you really want to. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. And it was reasonable to say it was going to be an issue. But this is, so far, it's not been ideal for them. The Isak signing, which I was very scared of before like the realization of how like Slot was going to set Liverpool up. Isak is a scary signing, I believe, offensively. But if you look at that Liverpool side, I'm not looking at that side with Ekitike, with Salah, whoever, Averts. I'm not looking at that team and concluding, this team needs more firepower. This team needs more attackers in it. I was thinking more, how are you going to sort the rest defense issue out? Isak doesn't really solve that problem. So it might like take them to one extreme, but it doesn't necessarily sort out the problem overall. It was like last season when you had City fans who were saying, oh, the number one signing for City in the summer should be Verts. And I'm looking at that City squad like, lads, have you seen our team? Before we get to attack and midfield, we've got a hell of a lot of other problems. We need to bring in 2 goalkeepers because we need an upgrade on Ederson. And to be fair, I did think Ortega was going to go. But I was like, well, we definitely need at least an upgrade on Ederson because Ederson's going to go, almost definitely. We need a better shot-stopping goalkeeper. We need a right-back, didn't actually get one. We need a left-back. We need at least 2 midfielders before we even get to like this Verts-type player spending over £100 million on them. So it was sort of like a similar sort of vibe. I'm not sure if like that was the right allocation of resources or that was the right area to go for Liverpool. I don't know. They might have been better off spending like $100+ million on this midfielder who basically solves their rest defense. I don't necessarily know who that might be. We all know I love Baleba. Maybe that would have been a more appropriate signing. Time will tell, of course. Time will tell. Just in hindsight, the signings seem a bit odd. The signings seem a little bit confusing to me. Again, I would love a Liverpool fan to come on and tell me what they thought about it. Do they believe that it's confused, or do they not have a problem? Do I have the wrong end of the stick here? Do let me know. I think in isolation, all their signings are brilliant. Ekitike, fantastic signing. Brilliant signing. Isak, amazing player. Superstar player. Verts, superstar player. I think that Kirkez and Frimpong can be these excellent players in isolation as well. But I just don't know if it's... I don't know if it's the right fit with the current personnel this season. Not sure. Slot's got plenty of time to sort it out. I can only go off what I've seen. And from what I've seen so far, there's a lot to sort out. And I don't think that... I don't think that I'd be very surprised if the balance was resolved by the end of this season. Let's just put it that way. I'd be very surprised. Now, in a season where, and that might well be enough to beat City. That may well be enough to beat City. The fact that, okay, you're not balanced, but who cares? Because you still got all these superstar individuals, and that's a thing. That's a good point as well, Una, and I haven't really touched on that yet. Why else did they win the title last season? In addition to, Slot having a very good season, of course. A lot of their superstars were on fire last season. Van Dijk showcasing, again, why he is the best defender in the world, and I was dead against saying this like 2 or 3 years ago because I felt it was too soon. I do just think that Van Dijk might be the best defender in Premier League history as well, based on his track record. He was absolutely on it last season. This season, perhaps not so much. Salah, I don't know what record he broke last season, but I believe he broke a number of records last season. Was it like most goals and assists in a Premier League season? Something like that. I don't know. Either way, he was on. Whatever he thought of his performances, the output didn't lie. And there was an insane degree of output, regardless of whether you think it was pretty to watch or not. The fact is, like, the output was record-breaking. There was always going to be a concern of, can these players operate to a similar-ish level? That's what it is, thank you, AP. Most year in a single campaign. Incredibly impressive, obviously, and there's a reason why he was never going to win the Ballon d'Or because he didn't win the Champions League or an international trophy. But there's a reason why, based on performance, he had a very strong argument, just on a pure individual level, putting Champions League final and international trophy situation aside. There's a reason why he had a very strong case to win the Ballon d'Or. It was never going to happen because he didn't win it, but there we go. Can you hit those levels again? And so far, we haven't yet seen that. And the other thing is Trent's also gone. And I think that his departure is not... maybe was being downplayed last season as well. Now, they have replaced... because I actually thought that what Liverpool did... because basically, they lost a load of... well, they lost their best creative passer, objectively. And they lost one of the best creative passers in the Premier League as well. So did City. That's what Trent is / was for Liverpool. And I thought, bringing in Wirtz, well, actually, it's better to have your creative passer in the midfield than it is at fullback. I would much rather my best passer of the ball be a midfielder like Kevin De Bruyne than a defender like Trent Alexander-Arnold. It just makes a lot more sense. But maybe it's because like Wirtz hasn't quite clicked yet, and maybe it's because the players that have been signed / the way Liverpool are playing hasn't really accommodated Wirtz that well. Liverpool are playing a lot slower compared to last season. There are less runners. There are less players creating chaos. Whatever you think of Darwin Núñez, and I don't think he's that good, he was at least a sort of runner who would have created space for Wirtz to operate in, or would have been that option for Wirtz to pass to. Liverpool have slowed down a lot. I think I've seen some charts about that compared to last season. And that's not really helping Wirtz either. And it's not helping the replacing of Trent's positives. So there's a lot of Diaz as well. Absolutely, Itchy Goat. So there's a lot of question marks, I think. Valid questions as well. Is it... because there's a lot of change. There is a lot of change. And I was very wrong here. I just sort of thought that it was going to be relatively straightforward for Liverpool. Oh yeah, Kirke's in, he's going to start over Robertson, that's fine. Wirtz comes in, he'll be great. Ekitike or Isak instead of Darwin Núñez, that'll be lovely, and it's all going to fit lovely. But there have been a fair few more teething problems than I'd considered, and again, I was very wrong here. I overrated them clearly. But I guess it makes sense that there should be teething problems because it's a brand new fullback pairing, and it's a brand new way of your chief chance creator, or your best passer rather, is no longer in that position. He's in a totally different position because he's a totally different player. And then there's also the question mark of, can your best players, your Van Dijk, Salahs, whatever, Alisson as well, Can they perform to the levels required of them? So there is a lot of change. In the same way that we've seen a lot of change at City this season, we as City fans have said, well, to be fair, there's a lot of new signings going on. They need to amalgamate, need to get up to speed. It's the same with Liverpool. And once again, I underestimated how difficult that would be. I underestimated how difficult that would be for Slot / Liverpool / these players generally to all become a cohesive unit. We've seen it sometimes this season, but too often it's looked chaotic and not the sort of controlled chaos from like a Jurgen Klopp side where it was by design. More of a, oh wow, this is actually not a good sort of chaos that we actually want to be playing right now. So that's Liverpool. And the more and more I think about it, if you ask me right now, like who finishes higher, Liverpool or Arsenal, I think that I'd pick Arsenal. Because I keep having doubts about what Liverpool are right now. And that's not the same as me saying that we're definitely going to finish ahead of them, obviously. But taking City out of the equation for a moment, who's going to finish higher, Liverpool or Arsenal? If I had to punt, I'd pick Arsenal right now. Now, it's easy to say they're top of the table and they're looking a lot better. But I just think if you look at the squad as well, and we'll get onto Arsenal in a moment, Arsenal look like they've got their ducks in a row more so than Liverpool right now. I'm not sure. But what do you guys think? What do you guys reckon? Should I do a poll, actually? Should I do a poll? I'm going to do a poll. Where's my fucking chat? There it is. Let's do a cheeky little poll. Start a poll. Who finishes higher? Arsenal or Liverpool? Let me know. Maybe I'm well off here. Who finishes higher in the Premier League this season? Arsenal or Liverpool? Let me know what you think. I'm saying Arsenal, but you don't have to agree with me, obviously. Maybe I want to say Liverpool have too much firepower. Maybe it will just click, you know, after the international break, or they'll still be in it by Jan, and then it clicks and whatnot. Let me know what you guys think, though. What are we saying? What are we saying here? What are we saying? I have a hot take. Konate looks bad due to Van Dijk. Tell me more, Sachin. Tell me more. Konate is another one who is not helping with the build-up concerns either, I would say. KJ thinks that Wirtz would have done well at City. I think he definitely would have. Now, there may well still have been teething problems. Absolutely, he would have done well long term. The reason why I was never that much of a fan of the Wirtz signing was because of the financial commitment in the context of all the other players that City needed to sign. It didn't make much sense to me. And that's what I kept advocating for. I kept saying that I don't like the fact that we'd have to spend 100 million plus when we still got all these other players that we need to bring in. All this other business we need. Shirky, I felt, was the perfect trade-off. Still a really high volume passing creator. Lovely, wonderful player. Similar age. But a better pure creator than Wirtz, in fairness. I do think Wirtz is the better player, but as a pure passing creator, Shirky is the better player. But a fraction of the price as well. It just made so much sense to me. That would be the thing. Arsenal aren't going to lose a game, says Clark. They've already lost. They've already lost against Liverpool. And but for a silly error from us, they would have lost another game, which is very annoying. Can you imagine that, guys? If we just... We'll move on to Arsenal now, but if we just... if we didn't make that silly error, we would be top of the table right now on goals scored. We'd be top of the table. Which is mad to think about, considering the rhetoric that was going round at the start of the season. And I know that we're not, and it's all ifs, buts, and maybes, and, you know, balls and ants. That's just a little bit of a madness, isn't it? We would literally be top of the table. Crazy. Let me fact check that. Arsenal would be down a point, so they'd be on 15. we would be plus 2 points, so we'd be on 15. They would be minus 1 goal difference, so they'd be on 10. We would be plus 1 goal difference, so we'd be on 10. We would be ahead on goals scored. We would have had 15 goals compared to their 13 had we just hung on. Oh, so very tightly, joint first. Well, it's not joint first, we would be first. Literally only on goal scored. It would be the same goal difference, the same points, but hey, that's why goal scored is a thing. Is that still the vibe in the Premier League? Because I know in La Liga, it's head-to-head. Is it still goal scored in the Premier League, or is it head-to-head nowadays? Does anyone have the intel on that? Does anyone have the sit rep on that? I know that has been how it's been, but I feel like I'm misremembering. I don't know if there was like a rule change in the last year or so. Not sure. If anyone knows, let me know. But either way, whether it's head-to-head or whether it's goal scored, and I think it's goal scored, City would have been ahead. So it goes to show how tight it is at the top in these very early days. Of course, in these very early days. Of course. If only Ake was quicker in it. Big up to you, The Map, one of my beautiful members. Guys, if you would like to support the channel, then we have around 60 paid members across LNobbins platforms, which is... No, actually, no, I think we have... No, it's not 60. I think it's... Wait, one sec. How many is it? I think it's nearly 100. I think it's around 80 or 90 or so paid supporters of the channel. We're on the road to around 100 paid supporters. If you want to be one of those beautiful people, to get lovely perks, to get exclusive videos, click that join button or click the link in the pinned comment to become an ultra of the channel for as little as £3 a month. Big up to everyone for your fantastic support. That Brighton game was shit, says Reddy. Yeah, it was upsetting, wasn't it? It's still goal scored. Thank you very much for that, Aguero. I don't know. Oh, I thought it was goal scored. I thought it was. Ratcliffe give Amorim 3 more years. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? That is insane. I don't know what they're playing at. I don't know what they think they're doing. I don't know what they think they're doing, United. They're just a joke, aren't they? United have a decent chance to get relegated, says Una. Promoted teams are genuinely good. I think we predicted Sunderland to survive relegation, so if that happens, and that's big brain from this chat. The UAE wants to buy United as well. Not sure if it's another prince, though, says Sachin. Well, that's not going to happen with, well, I guess it could happen technically. They couldn't. I don't know what Ineos's plans are, though. They've just been... let them win the championship. Hammer him! Hammer him. That's a great slander name. That is a great slander name. Oh, God. Yeah, they're just an absolute stinky mess, aren't they? They're an absolute stinky boy mess. I don't really know what United are doing. Oh, I'd love them to get relegated. Yeah, that would be beautiful. That'd be beautiful. The last time they got relegated was the 70s. I think it was 1976. Is that when they got relegated? I think it was 74 or 76. I can't recall, but that was the last time they got relegated. It would be fun. It's not... Sadly, I don't think it's going to happen because we're now in an era where... you, even if you're shit, you're not punished for being shit, really, if you're one of the big boys, because you can just spend your way out of it. No matter what we may think of how shit United are and how bad the players aren't relegation worthy. So just, it's very frustrating that they're not going to get relegated, even though in any other era, 10 plus years of being shit would lead to actual punishment, you know? Whether that's getting relegated or whatever. Alas, nothing. Because we're now in a totally different era where you're too big to fail, almost. You are too big to fail. Is that the Haaland, the Viking? How you doing, mate? How you doing, Haaland? Thank you so much for popping your head in. Love that from you. How many goals are you going to score this season, Haaland, in the Premier League? Let me know. Let me know. What happens if they get relegated? Do they change the rules where they don't go? No, I mean, no. They They still would like go down, but it's not going to happen, is it? It's just not going to happen, sadly, because they are, even though they're shit, they're not that shit, and they can just buy the players and all that shit. You know what I mean? Right. So that's Liverpool. Those are my thoughts on Liverpool. There's still plenty of football to be played. There's plenty of time for Slot to sort it out. But right now, I'm becoming a doubting boy. I'm becoming a doubting boy. I don't actually know if I would consider them the favourites anymore. I actually think Arsenal might be the favourites right now. I actually think that might be the case. And let's pivot to Arsenal now, shall we? So we've chatted about Liverpool. And how did that poll go? So 79% of this chat think that Arsenal are going to finish higher than Liverpool. 21% say Liverpool. And maybe they will both finish ahead of City. Of course. Of course they will. I guess like one of the things that I want to reiterate from this stream, which we have talked about a lot this season so far, is I don't think there is an infallible team in the Premier League. With City, there's an argument to be made that we're currently going through a transition. The age of the squad has rapidly dropped from last season, where we were one of the oldest teams in the Premier League last season. We're now one of the youngest, and we've brought in a new goalkeeper, a new backup goalkeeper, a new, I was going to say right back, that didn't happen, a new left back, a new midfielder, or two new midfielders. Technically, if you want to count Bob, another wide player as well, and we've lost a lot of players also. We've lost Gundogan, Akanji, Walker. Lots of experience has gone out the door as well. It's not necessarily going to be the easiest shift or pivot from one to the other. I'm happy with the signings, of course. I'm happy with a lot of the departures as well. No disrespect, but I'm happy that Gundogan has moved on, and I am happy that Kyle Walker has moved on. The biggest magpie in the world has just landed on like a light sensor outside. What is going on? I hate magpies. Very aggressive birds. I've seen them chase cats. Not very nice. Not very nice. You think because you're all cute and hunt shiny things, I should like you? I don't like you, little bastard. Little bastard bird. Anyway. What am I saying? I think this team is worse than the 23-24 team. They're way too defensive most of the time. They do that at expense. Is this Arsenal you're talking about, Una? Brian says we're reliant on Haaland. I just want to just before we move on to Arsenal, I have touched on this before. I touched on it on LB's stream as well. Respect my magpie analysis, Aryaman. Yeah, respect the magpie analysis. Don't get that shit anywhere else. Respect me. Yeah? It's not a bad thing that Haaland scores most of our goals. It's not a bad thing that Haaland massively leads the way in respect to scoring our goals. It would be a problem if it were the opposite, I would say. If you have the best, and I think he is, objectively, the best goal scorer in the world, you should be reliant on him to score goals. You should be tailoring the vast majority of your offensive play to getting the best out of Haaland. That should be the key, I think. The other thing to say is that I'm seeing the same people say these two things, which are inherently contradictory. On the one hand, they are saying that we're too reliant on Haaland. I'm not necessarily saying anyone here is saying that, I'm just, as a general, City are too focused on Haaland, too reliable on him. We need other players to score more goals. But then when other players like take shots and don't pass to Haaland, they go, oh, he's selfish, they should have passed to Haaland instead. But these people are saying the same thing, and they directly contradict one another. So I think it was the Napoli game maybe where like Reinders was taking a few shots and he was being accused of being selfish. But you can't have it both ways. We need shooters on the pitch. If you want someone else other than Haaland to score goals, it's not a problem. You have a balance, don't you? There's nothing wrong with Haaland being our best goal scorer. He should be our best goal scorer. We should be trying to find him. But at the same time, we can't. And if you are concerned that we're overly dependent on him, you can't then be upset if other players are taking shots like Foden against Brentford. Lots of people saying Foden was selfish against Brentford. But as I say, these are the same people who are concerned about Haaland being too much of the goal scorer. Have both. Why not have both? Why not have the key focus being on creating for Haaland, but at the same time accept that we need other players to score as well, and the only way that they can score is by taking shots. So there's nothing wrong with players having a go themselves and not always looking to find Haaland. It doesn't have to be all the time. Of course, it has to be most of the time if the pass is on. But we have goal scorers in the side. Foden is a goal scorer who will get double digits this season. Reinders is a goal scorer. He should get double digits this season. Shiki could get double digits this season. Marmoush certainly should get double digits this season. I don't think there's anything wrong with how City are playing. And it's working. No one scored more goals than us. No one scored more goals than us in the Premier League this season. In the treble year, only Foden had double-digit Premier League goals outside of Hall, and everyone else was on single digits. It's not a concern if only this, and I don't think it will be the case, because I think Foden will also get double digits in the league this season, but if we end the season with only Haaland and Marmoush as our two double-digit goal scorers, it's not inherently a problem. If Haaland has 40 goals, who cares? Who cares? Now, that does become a problem if Haaland gets injured, or if Haaland is stinky, but let's be honest, Haaland's not stinky. And about him getting injured, if Haaland's not in the team, then the whole dynamics change, and you don't play the same way. So I don't really see it as an equivalent. Now, in the Premier League, Alan, he was only on 9. Talking about the Premier League only. I think Foden was on 11, Haaland on 36. I think Alvarez got 9 in the Premier League. Everyone else on single digits. Some on 8, some on 7, most on like 5 or below. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's all good. It's all good. I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's fine to raise it as a concern, but it's also fine to look back and go, well, we've already illustrated that we can do great things with Haaland. With only like 2 players scoring double-digit goals in the league. We literally won the treble doing that. It's not inherently a problem. Well, it's not in the team either. So if Haaland picks up an injury, okay, well, we play differently, and we create chances differently, and other players score goals instead. And now all of a sudden, you don't have to have your first thought being create for Haaland, create for someone else, create for yourself, whatever. It's not. I don't see it as a problem, unless it would only be a problem if no one was scoring goals and we weren't creating for Haaland at all. But the fact that Haaland scored 9 in the Premier League, is that right, 9? And none of them have been penalties either. That tells me that we are doing a decent job of creating for him, particularly paired with the fact that we've scored more than anyone in the league. I don't think it's a concern. We've got an Arsenal fan here. Thank you so much, Essie. I'm so sorry, because you have been a long viewer of the channel. I'm so sorry. I forgot you're an Arsenal fan. I apologise. If we, Arsenal, had Marmoush, I think we would run away with the league. This is great. What are your thoughts because we're now going to get into Arsenal. Do you think it's fair that I've just labelled you as the favourites? And how do you view your strengths and weaknesses? How do you view it? TLDR, for me, it's going to be, can Arteta and Arsenal lean into the attack that is required to win the Premier League, whilst also retaining defensive solidity? Let me know. What do you think? Because that's how I see it. That's my main question. We'll go into that in a bit more detail, because if you are one of the best defensive teams in the world, it's not as simple as just popping in attackers, because you change your style of play to also become more attacking, and with that, you do open yourself up a little bit more. So that's maybe my question. Can that balance be struck between attacking to win the league but also retaining that defensive solidity. Let me know what you think, SE, as an Arsenal fan. Whilst SE's giving me the answer, I'm just going to catch up on the chat. The map says, have Arsenal even look good? He's questioning. They are top of the table. They are top of the table. Dash says, I didn't watch football much back then. I was kind of shocked to find out Zidane won 3 straight Champions League titles with Madrid. How did he pull that off? Says Adash. As the manager, yeah, that was a crazy time. He did have a very good team, to be fair, and I think he managed it well as well. I think that Zidane is very overrated as a manager, but there's no doubt that he knew how to get the best out of that particular team. Ian says that Gyökeres is slow. What do you think Xavier should improve on, says Cannon? It's got to be the finishing, hasn't it? There's nothing wrong with him getting into the positions. We saw last season he had like an XG of 5 or whatever. He can clearly get into the positions, but he needs to act on it. So that would be the key area that he should improve on. 21-year-old winger. I don't see why that can't happen. The creation's already there. 8 league assists in his first season is a very, very good amount. In fact, there is no winger under Guardiola at City who achieved more in the league. None. That's a very impressive amount for Savio. The goal scoring does need to improve, though, definitely. 100%. 100%. And that just comes with continuing to get into the correct position and maybe getting a better connection with the ball, making a better decision, because often he would like hit it straight at the goalkeeper or just like sky it out of play. Might have come with practice, I'm not sure. Nuance in this economy. Shut up. Oh, dear. Really, Thunder? That's surprising. I am assuming like players aren't massively injured as well, in fairness. It was his last season. Right, yeah. So in the treble year, he got 9, which is quite surprising because he didn't play much in the treble year. So this is on Arsenal. I think we are the most stable team. Defensively in our possession, we are very good. Our creative against physical mid-blocks will decide whether we win the league, such as Fulham, Villa, and Crystal Palace. I think that's a very good take, to be honest, about Arsenal. Let's maybe get into that now, shall we? Because I do think that is correct. Let's get to 115 likes, guys. You know the drill. We're nearly 200 people watching. I want my 115. Get the likes up. Let's move on to Arsenal now. For the remainder of this stream, and then we'll also just pivot and just have a little. I like to say pivot a lot, don't I? And then we'll do a cheeky Q&A. Yeah, Arsenal. The Arsenal. Why have Arsenal not won the league yet? The main reason why Arsenal have not won the league yet is pretty simple. They don't score enough goals in enough games. That's the main reason why. That sounds really simple and basic, but it is a reality. That's ultimately why. The best example of that is the 23-24 season. And I caveat that by saying not enough goals in enough games. Because when I brought that up as a point, people would counter that and go, well, they're only a few goals off City, so is that really the difference? But it's not necessarily the quantity of goals and the volume of goals, it's the volume of goals across games. So there were too many times in the 23-24 season where they didn't score a single goal. And there were too many 0-0s, or there were too many 1-0 losses. Now, the only way that you can the only way you can win a game of football is to score. That's a pretty fundamental problem. So that was always going to be the question for Arsenal this season. Can you elevate your attack whilst also ensuring defensive solidity? Now, the signing of Gyökeres didn't move me. Based on my viewing of him, I don't know if he's that good. And I don't even consider that Arsenal's, even though I've just said that Arsenal's problem was that they weren't scoring enough goals in enough games, the problem wasn't on a game-to-game basis, I don't think the problem was actually conversion. I might be wrong here. I don't think Arsenal underperformed on XG. I can double check. I might be well wrong here. My instinct tells me I don't think Arsenal underperformed on expected goals. So what I'm saying is I don't think it was a conversion problem. I think it was a creation problem compared to City. Because that's who you were up against that season. So that's all that matters. Let me have a little baby look and see. Because I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they underperformed. Can I get the correct season up? That was 23-24, wasn't it? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Where are we at? Yeah, so it is correct. If anything, they horrendously overperformed on expected goals. They apparently generated an expected goals of 84, and they scored 91. So it wasn't ever a conversion problem. That was never a thing. It was more so about in those games that we've just mentioned, SC's brought up as well, absolutely, where they did drop those points. It's that they didn't score enough on average. Or, sorry, rather, they didn't create enough on average. I don't think Gyökeres solves that problem. And that's why I wasn't particularly interested about the signing. Didn't really care. The signing I do care about, though, is Eze. Because he basically solves that. Yeah, and Eze's just said it there. Yeah, he is a problem if he's used centrally. And that is a far more important signing than Gyökeres, I would say. Gyökeres don't really care about that. I'm not really asked. The Eze one has upset me. as someone who obviously doesn't want Arsenal to win the league and wants City to win the league. That has upset me. That has concerned me. Because he does fix the creation problem. Even though it was a City error, he did still create the goal that got Arsenal the point against City. That's one example, but imagine repeating that across the entire season. He's the player who can do that. He can unlock a defence in that manner. City fans know that. We've experienced it. And so far, they haven't yet been exposed defensively either. The goalkeeper's the exact same. If anything, on an individual level, they're actually better defensively because Calafiori is a better defender than Lewis Skelly, and he's been their primary left-back option so far this season. You still got Gabriel there, still got Saliba there. Timber is... I love Timber so much. He's my favourite Arsenal player by a fair margin. I really want him. It's so annoying. I want him at our club. And they've added Zubimendi to it, and Rice is being used as a more advanced player. And then you throw in Eze there as well. Exactly Eze, yeah. Now, I still think there's a weakness at left wing. That's still an area where I'm looking at, and if I'm an Arsenal fan going, that's very upgradable. For the main, if Eze's playing in the centre, and he should be primarily playing there, if your nominal left wing options are Trossard and Martinelli, that's an area that can be improved. But is that enough? If we're saying that's a weakness, and if I'm saying, and to be fair, if I'm also saying I'm not that impressed with their striker, I'm not saying it's a weakness, I'm just saying I'm not that impressed. Is that enough to make them not win the title? And the answer is I don't know. I do think that if this was a City side, because parking Liverpool to one moment, just going back and trying to take it back to City for a second. If this was the City of a couple years ago, then I'd be very, very confident that that Arsenal side would not be good enough to win the title. But you've got to view it about... You've got to look at the individual context season to season. And who are Arsenal's competition this season? Well, it's a Liverpool side who we've just outlined are potentially not balanced yet. Might not ever get the balance this season. And their other opposition are City, and we don't even know what we are this season as fans. Are we going for the title? Are we just in transition? Are we too early in our cycle to be competing with Arsenal, who are far later in their cycle than us? Does that make sense? So I actually don't know if I think Arsenal are that impressive in isolation, but in the context of their competition this season, they are very impressive. And that's a concern as a City fan. And that's why I believe that Arsenal will finish ahead of Liverpool. The only thing I can sort of hope and rely on is that against, as Essie's rightly said, teams like Palace, Villa, Fulham, who else? They've often struggled with Brentford, I feel like, as well. These sorts of teams. Will they be able to break them down? Because if they do have any issues, it's a left wing, and it's striker. So it is still the attack. That's a concern. Brighton's another great one, Jerome, absolutely. It is still the attack that I would consider a weakness, but it's not like a few years ago where I'm looking at that attack and going, that doesn't win the title. Because Eze's now there to technically be part of that attack, if we're counting him as like this number 10. But they aren't imperious. They aren't imperious. They do have weaknesses. They didn't look impressive against United. I know that they got the point against us, but we illustrated that we can prevent them to have no chances unless like we make a horrendous goalkeeping error. There will be tougher tests for them. We just have to be there to pounce. We have to be there to pounce. And the corner thing is very frustrating, isn't it, Bernardish? Because they should have dropped points against Newcastle. But they're so fucking good at corners and it pisses me off. It's so frustrating. But it might be their year, is what I'm trying to say. It might well be their year. Not necessarily, but I'm leaning more to Arsenal being the favourites right now. It doesn't mean City are out of it, but I am leaning to Arsenal being the favourites. And that's upsetting. That's upsetting. I love you, SC. You're a boy. And I do love the Arsenal fans who come to my channel, because they're all little cuties, like big up Toby. And I know every single fan base has their knobheads, and there's so many City knobheads out there as well. I get it, every single fan. All I'm saying is that anecdotally, the most annoying fans that I've encountered online are Arsenal fans. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they are all that. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not saying it's true. But anecdotally, from my POV, they're the most annoying, and they haven't even won anything yet. So I can't even imagine how it's going to be. I'm not saying everyone. Big up to SE, big up to Toby, big up to all the Arsenal fans that come on this channel. But my word, they're so fucking jarring in my personal experience. That's the only concern. Last season, okay, yeah, last season, just like very, very brief aside here. Last season, who won the title last year? Liverpool. Their fans weren't as bad from my POV than Arsenal fans last year. And they didn't even win anything, and they were still more insufferable. How is that possible? Not all, hashtag not all Arsenal fans. Big up to the beautiful ones like SE. But, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Oh, gosh. That's fairs, SE. That's fairs. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so like that's like my sort of take on Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool, I think we're more likely to finish ahead of Liverpool than Arsenal, because I think that Arsenal are more likely to finish ahead of Liverpool than not. A lot is going to rely. I think so much is going to rely on Shirky when he comes back. Can we integrate him as a starter? I really hope so. Really hope so. Maybe Ait-Nouri as well. As much as I love O'Reilly, if we're struggling with build-up, can Ait-Nouri help there as well? Definitely he can. Marmoush coming back, even though I love Doku's performances, like, can Marmoush come back and be that guy as well? Can Foden keep up these performances? Can Rodri come back? Can Nico keep up these performances? A lot will depend on our returning players and how quickly we can resolve the right side and how quickly Guardiola can resolve the build-up problems. there is still a chance that City can do this, definitely. IMO. Clark says it's about Arsenal. They've got a world-class goalie, defenders, midfielders, and attackers, bar Marcelli and Gyökeres. Again, that's maybe the weakness. Maybe. Hello, Martin. How you doing, matey? What is that outfit? Are you the Joker? Hello? Is that your Halloween outfit for this year? It's a bit early. You've jumped the gun a bit. You are what? 3 weeks early, but I mean, you're looking good. Looking good. Is anyone doing Halloween this year? If so, like, what are your plans? I don't dress up or anything, but me and Mrs. Nobbins and I will be watching an actual scary film, and then we're going to watch a scary movie, and we're going to eat, like, chocolate and sweets, and just, like, have fun. I don't dress up for Halloween, though. I'm scary enough as is. Big up to you, Sarah. Arsenal's open play kind of met in the creation department. They're built for set piece conversion and defense, indeed, and that will be the case. Can they elevate that open play work? That's the key, isn't it? That's the key. Yeah, big up to you, SC, as well, little cutie. Racing City win the league. Love the confidence. Lack of open play goals shows weaknesses. You can't rely on corners. See, I keep telling myself that. I keep telling myself that they can't rely on it. But they keep doing it. And it's pissing me off. Because every fibre of my being says that this is not sustainable and you can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. And yet they keep doing it. And it's very annoying. Stop it. Stop being annoying. Yeah? You are everything you hate. Yeah? I remember the glory days when Arsenal were doing nothing and Wenger was just complaining about Tony Pulis using set pieces and whatnot. It was like, this is not foot. I don't know what the hell that accent is. This is not football. That's a terrible French accent. I've probably offended everyone there. I apologise that. I'll never do that again. Stephen says, I see us winning on the last day. Sorry, Stephen, who is we? Are you a City fan or an Arsenal fan? Let me know. I'm not dressing up as anything. I want to see Kasam Gavardio pairing at the back. That is so going to be our best centre-back pairing, isn't it? Gavardio left centre-back, Kasam right centre-back. They just partner each other perfectly. Their temperaments, their play style. One's left-footed, one's right-footed. They're both cuties. It's just they're both like neither of them are slouches. No, Kusanov is a rapid boy, but even Gavardio's no slouch. He's a limsy boy, so he can get back and defend really well. That's going to be the future. That is the future, definitely. Not this year. It's still going to be Diaz this year, but I do think that is definitely my preferred ceiling long-term partnership. 100%. 100%. And if he can fill in as a competence right back in the meantime, then that's great. We just won't have any offensive work down that right side, but for some games, there's not a problem with it. He can absolutely be competent, but I still believe that we need a right back. Yeah, the Scary Movie films are so good. Well, the first two are the best. Third one and fourth one are good. Did I just say Ford? Third one and fourth one are good, but they're not made by the same producers. You know, Shorty and Ray, who did White Chicks together. I watched that for the first time last week. That was a very funny film. Yeah, I love Scary Movie. One of my favourite films ever. Yeah, it's very frustrating, Essie. Can you stop being good at them? Mate, thank you. Thank you. Why is Rice better at corners than Kevin De Bruyne? It's not fair. Why can't Ruben Diaz get on the end of Rice's, Foden's corners in the same way that fucking Gabriel does? Pissing me off. Very annoying. What's the XG so far? Good question, Alan. I have no idea, mate. I have no idea. I imagine it's probably second or third best. It's probably behind City's. It's probably behind City's, Liverpool's, Chelsea's. So I predict fourth. Let's have a look at under status, the site I tend to use for expected goals, BT Dubs. 12.2. What is that in a comparative sense, though? What is that in a comparative sense? Crystal Palace, hello? That's very surprising. I'm very surprised. Arsenal have generated more expected goals than us. Maybe understat's capping. Maybe I should stop using understat. No, I mean, it might be right. According to this, I can show you. I can show you the table if you guys want. I've sorted it by expected goals. Again, this is understat. I don't know what their XG model is. It's different to, like, I think it's different to Opta though, so maybe this isn't the best source. But anyway, this is understat, which is I like them. The Man United one you can take with a massive pinch of salt, because the only reason why United have generated so much XG is because they are always fucking losing, so they just have to go for it. They're so shit that they have to attack all the time. That's the only reason why theirs is so high, so take that with a pinch of salt. The Palace one is very surprising. Well, it's not that surprising, because they've only lost, like, what, once a season or something, so I guess it's not that surprising. So yeah, City's and Arsenal's, it's very similar. It's nearly identical, isn't it? I'm surprised that Liverpool's is that low, though. And Chelsea's as well. I thought Chelsea's would be higher. Apparently not. Please stop spamming in the chat, otherwise the moderator's going to be timing you out. Thank you very much, mates. Or I'll time you out. I won't read your comment either. I purposefully ignore people that spam. Yeah, so there you go. I didn't. It's third. So I said fourth, but it's around where I thought it would be for Arsenal. But it's, the two ahead of them were not the teams that I thought. Liverpool are the reason for Palace's high XG. Yeah. So there we go. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder how that works out as like XG per shot. That would be good. Is that a stat? XG per shot. I'd like to know that, please. If someone, if like a data company can like make that for me, that'd be great. That must already be in existence. I feel like that's a stat that should exist. It's just not an understat. I feel like is it on FootMob? I don't know. I'll look into it. I'd like to know the XG per shot basically, because then you can quantify how good the chances are. Because if a team's like having 20 million shots, then yeah, obviously they're gonna do that. Yeah, but I'm lazy, Essie. I want someone to do that for me. You know what I mean? I don't have the inclination. Oh gosh. Yeah. So there we go. That's Arsenal. That's Arsenal. 2 of our goals were own goals. So who cares? They weren't own goals out of nowhere, were they? The Foden one. That's as good as Foden's goal. If the defender doesn't put it into the back of his own net, Foden scores it. So I don't really care. I don't really care about that. You get me? Yeah, United's very high. Absolutely. Have I seen the charts of different stats of players from the season so far? What are the stats, Achin? Let me know. Corner FC. There's a bit more pressure on Arsenal. They know they have to win this season. Otherwise, you've got to get Arteta gone. This I do agree with. Like, if it's not now, then like when is it? Please don't spam in my chat, guys. Thank you very much. I'll just time you out. Don't be silly. What was I saying? Yeah, this. I agree with this. SE, what are your thoughts? I totally agree with this. I already feel like that he should have won the title. I'm not gonna lie. I was a big Arteta defender. In 22-23, I don't think that any non-Arsenal content creator that I was aware of, on YouTube anyway, defended Arsenal as much as me and defended Arteta as much as me. I was being very complimentary about Arsenal that season. They got 50 points in the first 19 games. I don't know how you can't be complimentary. I was very big on Arteta, and I kept saying, oh, he's proving himself to be an elite manager. I don't care if he's not won anything yet. He's clearly an elite manager, and I wouldn't mind him being a future City manager. I think that he's that good. 23-24, I felt he had to win the season that year, given everything that was happening with City that we have touched on at length. And that was when I began to get a bit... I'm not going to... If I were an Arsenal fan, that wouldn't have been when I was Arteta out, but... I was seriously thinking, like, well, how have you not won the title? Like, I didn't get the approach in so many games that season. So many games. I know it wasn't all about that 0-0 at the Etihad. I didn't get that approach. Didn't understand it at all. I was like, fine, whatever, okay. I guess I'll give him another season. Even I'm not an Arsenal fan, but you know what I mean. And I appreciate that last year. I appreciate there were injuries. Of course there were. Of course there were injuries to Arsenal last season. There was a winter window to bring in an attacker when they clearly needed an attacker, and they didn't, and they were still in the title race, and they didn't do it. And I'm not being funny. The analysis that came out after that was massively blown out of proportion. City's injuries were far, far worse than Arsenal's. But you had people making injury tables, and they were including players like Tierney and Tomiyasu in those tables to punt up their numbers. Like, there was no point where Arsenal had like this proper, pure crisis of every single player. Like City had all their fucking wingers out at one point. We had basically all of our centre-backs out at one point. We lost Rodri for the entire season. At the start of the season, our most important player as well. So yes, there were injuries. Of course there were. But I don't think last season was good enough either. And I don't think the last season can just be chalked off to injuries either. I don't know what you think about that, Essie, as an Arsenal fan. Maybe I'm being too harsh there. I don't think it's reasonable to say that last season was purely injuries. They could have done better work in the summer. They could have done more work in the winter. I think they could have done better last season as well. Not saying they had to win the title, but they should have done better, all things considered. This has to be it, man. And there's a reason why I'm making them the favourites. I don't say that lightly either. This has to be the year where they win it. And if they don't, I don't know. I don't know what like the next step would be. Because it seems to me like Eze is surely the... I don't know what the right term is. Missing piece, whatever. He's got his goalkeeper. He's got his right back. He's got his... Was technically Saliba wasn't his signing, but let's be honest. Inheriting a player like Saliba is not a bad thing. Saliba is his player. He signed Gabriel, that's his player. He signed Calafiore and he promoted Lewis Skelly. Those are his players. He signed this is his midfield. He signed Ødegaard? Or was that Emery? I feel like he signed Ødegaard. He signed Zubimendi. He signed Rice. He signed Eze. He signed Ødegaard. He's got his midfield. He's got his defence. He's got his goalkeeper. He inherited Saka. Oh, what a horrible player to inherit. A great player to inherit. It's not a problem at all. He's your player. I know that Emery technically gave him his debut, but whatever. That's his player. Exactly, Essie. You signed Havertz. You signed Gyökeres. You signed Jesus. Those are your strikers. You didn't sign Martinelli, in fairness. I think he inherited Martinelli. But you signed Eze, who can play off the left. You signed Trossard, who can play off the left. You signed Madueke, who can play off the left as well. This is his team. There is no hiding. It's been in the job 5 years? 6 years? I think it's 5. Maybe it's 5.5. It has. If it's not now, then when is it? If it's not now, then when is it? It has to be now. And the more I think about it, if you ask me to bet, if you said, right, okay, Nobbins, you have to bet your life savings on a club to win the league this season, the Premier League. Who are you going to... You have to bet your life savings, or there's a gun to your head or whatever. And if you get it wrong, we're going to shoot you. Who are you predicting to win the title? I'd predict Arsenal right now. I do think they are the favourites. I think the clever money is on Arsenal right now. Again, gun to the head. Who are you predicting? Your life depends on it. Who's most likely to win it? So who do you want to win it? Who do you think will? I think it is. I think it has to be them. This has to be their year. It has to be their year for an Arteta perspective. It's not just about the money. Park the money for a second. I don't care about people talking about money. It's his team. It's his 11. It's his players. It has to be now. And if it isn't, I say park the money, but you can talk about the money as well. You've got to win with the amount of investment that's happened. Also, even though investment doesn't necessarily equate to success, look at Man United, look at Chelsea. It doesn't necessarily mean it is a thing. I think he will leave Essie, and if he doesn't leave this season, he should leave. Because it can't, big hypothetical, but if they don't win the title, it can't be, oh, he just needs Semenyo, and then he'll win. Nah, this is crazy. How much more needs to happen? Like, do the stars need to align? I thought, to me, and again, this is where I lost my patience basically last season when Slot won it. Because I kept saying, Guardiola is the best manager in the world, or whatever, and I don't know if it's reasonable to say that Arteta should be better than Guardiola in a year, but then Slot blew that out the window. So you get me? Do you get me? Needs one more. Oh dear. If you think City are the favourites, that's absolutely fine. I don't think City are the favourites, personally. That's not the same as saying I don't think City can win it or compete. I just don't think we're the favourites, though. I mean, objectively, we aren't. Objectively, we are third favourites, based on gambling and supercomputers. I just think that the clever money is not on City right now. Of course I did, Spartacus. Of course I did. We're going to wrap up very shortly, by the way, chaps. Arteta or company. Well, the Arteta ship has sailed. That's not going to happen, is it? I think I said earlier, don't spam. If you spam, I won't read your comment, and I'll just time you out for 24 hours. Don't spam. He decided the guard. Thank you. I'd bring Company. If Company keeps proving himself, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Martinelli was Emery, I thought so. If we don't win then this time, yeah, I think I'm with you, mate. I'll try to not get shot. I was just using it as an analogy. If my life depended on it, I'm going to go for the option that is statistically most likely to happen, because that's logically what you should do. So you go for the favourites. So why would I not, in this scenario with the gun to the head, of course I'm going to pick the favourites. I don't know why you wouldn't. Again, if a gun is to your head. Big up to India. Love that from you, Harry. No, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that they're the favourites. That's all it means. The whole purpose of this stream was to say that City can absolutely win. Can absolutely win the title. I don't think we're the favourites. I don't think we're second favourites. We've outlined Liverpool's weaknesses. I think Arsenal have less weaknesses, but they are still there. Gyökeres, I don't think is a strike. Gyökeres does not strike me as a striker who wins you the title. Same with Martinelli. But the rest of the team might be so good that might be a moot point. But in isolation, I don't think those players are players I would associate with winning the title. Arteta came out and said he almost left in 22-23 because of the capitulation. The PTSD point, I definitely agree with. There is no doubt that season scarred him. Because if you look at like someone did like a chart of like how much, I think it was like how much expected goals Arsenal generates, or how, I can't remember if it was chances created. It was some sort of attacking metric, whatever. And it's like if you compare the 22-23 season to subsequent seasons, it's gradually decline. And that's because like that's a choice. Arteta's choosing to play like that. He's opted to become a more defensive manager. You don't win the first 19 games of a Premier League season, so you don't get 50 points from those first 19 games playing that massively defensive football. So there's no doubt he has become a little bit scarred. And I would argue for the worse. So far, who knows, maybe he wins it this season. Is one enough? Then we need to have that conversation. Is one title enough at that point? Given the time allocation, the fact is his team, the investment that's happened. Of course, that's going to be the next topic once the first one's happened. That's lovely. But we all know the best managers win back-to-back. That's what separates Guardiola from Mancini and Pellegrini in a City vibe. There's not many managers who go back-to-back. Klopp didn't even go back-to-back. Wenger never went back-to-back. Pep did. Mourinho did. Fergie did. Is that it? I feel like that's it in the Premier League. I think it's only 3. And only 2 of those have gone back-to-back. Win 3 in a row. Only one's done 4. Hopefully all our players will be back ready. Hopefully that will be a thing. Yeah? Shut up, Spartacus. Thank you, Essie, for confirming. If he keeps proving himself, why the hell not? Why the hell not? Of course he's got to prove himself, but he's looking good. He's looking really good. I'm starving. Yeah, that's you know what, Essie? That is absolutely reasonable. And speaking of starving, this isn't even an Arteta point, just on a wider club point. When was the last time Arsenal won the title? So 2004, so 21 years. 21 years of Arsenal not winning a title. So the gap between like winning a title, this is the biggest gap in Arsenal's history as a football club. That just puts into perspective how massive a football club Arsenal is. This is their biggest gap in their history. And it's obviously getting bigger and bigger as they are continuing to not win it. So just from a club historical POV as well, they need to do it. Never mind the conversation about Arteta. They've got to win it now. It's getting... They're making history every single year they don't win it. They're increasing that distance. I think the biggest gap before that was 19 years, I think. So yeah, it's a big time if they can do it. Love that from you. Some might say we are about to wrap up, but thank you so much for choosing to stay up late to watch your boy. Do care about your sleep though, guys. You need your sleep. Fireborn, mate. Everton, shut up. Do not bring Everton up here, yeah? Do not bring them up. Actually, no, do. Big up to Jack Grealish. Big up, big up, big up. Arteta to Barca. Stoke alone will be interesting, says Fireborn. Why does City fans think company has a say in transfers? Yeah, almost definitely doesn't. Almost definitely doesn't. I was 1 last time we won the league. Yeah, that's fairs in it. That's a thing. Please advise Pep on his team selection. I'm not that intelligent, I'm afraid. Pep's a lot smarter than I am. I think we're going to wrap it up there because I've been yapping for over 90 minutes. This is normally the time I try to do for these shows. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If you would like to support the channel, there are a number of ways you can support the channel. First of all, you can leave a like on the video. That's free. And that's safe. Yeah? Leave a like on the video. That's free. Subscribe if you're new, obviously. We are on the road to the next milestone of 33,333, which is a third of the way to my ultimates target, which is lovely. That's the easiest way you can support. Another way you can support, you can do something like Yanko here. You can get a glowy name, a little rat badge, access to exclusive analysis videos, join the Hall of Fame, and support your boy and help me to continue making these videos. Because you're here, so I'm assuming that you do like the video. So if you are able to, please consider supporting the channel. We are on the road to around 100 paid members of the channel across all platforms. If a YouTube membership isn't for you, if you want something more physical, then guys, guess what? Let's see if this link works. Oh yeah, if you want something more physical, let's get physical, physical. I sell shirts. I sell Nobbins merch, including Bald Fraud posters, like this one here, in my room. In addition to like other exclusively designed merchandise. If you are interested in supporting me in any of those ways, leave a like, join the channel, purchase a shirt, a hoodie, or a poster, whatever you opt to do. The OnlyFans is basically the Patreon, I guess. We also have a Patreon if you want to support there. If a YouTube membership isn't for you, if you'd rather go off platform, the Patreon is the best way to support me because I get more of the money there. YouTube takes more of a cut than Patreon does, in fairness. But also, if you want a physical thing, posters, shirts, hoodies, coasters are all there. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. I'll catch you all Next Touchline Talk, which will be a Tuesday. No, and Nobbins will be coming out like tomorrow. Goodbye, guys.